I grew up
Thank you.
in southern New Jersey where duck carving is
Yeah, yeah.
the big thing.
Yeah,
And there was a guy who honestly sat across on a stump in his barn, that the same stump his dad and his grandfather had sat on.
okay, good.
And
Big red snapper.
look
Yeah,
at that.
Very
All
cool.
right, we're ready.
And he would every $10,000 for finished piece. Because he had the reputation, but
wow,
some people collect
One more.
that stuff. Wow.
The flamingo.
yeah,
Nice.
Now that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to keep from breaking.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's like,
uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to have, send me those pictures.
All right, call us.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, airport advisory meeting Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, 3 o'clock, Port Aransas City Hall. I'd like to call to order.
319.
They won't tell who was late.
Okay, call a roll call.
Oh,
I'm
Tom?
sorry, call to order. You want to call to order first?
Yeah, 319.
Okay,
And then Tom, Mr. Gregory,
yes.
Mark
Creighton.
Creighton,
Mark Delaney. Okay, citizens' comments. Empty. Okay, airport managers
All
report.
right, Chris is sick, so here he sent us his report here. For May, 54 overnight planes. 20 parking fees generated $900. Oh, $900 in Honk, which is our parking app.
Yeah.
And then there was $245 in cash parking. 12 no pays. Naughty. Gallons of fuel sold, 3,221. Dollars of fuel sold, 15,945. That's the high for the year. Okay. That's Chris's report.
Okay, city manager report.
Okay, so the capital project is finished. We did the walkthrough, I believe, on the 6th. They have a little teeny punch list. They have a couple, the watering truck that is going around, and they had to put in 4 feet of sod around all the new the new taxiways run. Any new pavement has 4 feet of sod. So all they're doing now is
Is it sod or is it,
sod.
it's sod?
They did
Okay.
sod around the edges, and then the middle they did the spray
Okay,
stuff.
Okay, that's what I saw
Yeah.
them doing.
So
Okay.
the sod is around the edges, and they have to water it. And whoever's been operating the water truck has been driving off the edge of the road and breaking some pieces of the asphalt because the truck's, a gazillion tons.
Yeah.
So they got popped on that. So they got a couple. It's only it's only on a corner where the truck makes the corner and he goes over the edge and then he straightens it back up. So at every corner you have a little bit of damage. So they're getting that addressed. Other than that, looks great. TxDOT Aviation was happy with the project. Went really well. And then I'll move on from that. Any questions on that project?
One.
Yes, sir.
I saw that the new parking area was still restricted.
Yeah,
Drop it
so
off.
we need to discuss that. We'll discuss that when I go into the general discussion on airport improvements.
Okay.
So that's the capital project. That's
On the-
item D.
The repairs is
Yeah,
possible. They're still in front of Mark's hangar where it goes from old stuff to the hangar.
yeah,
There's a lot of loose gravel and kind of.
yeah,
puddle. I don't know if
okay.
you've seen
Needs
it.
to be swept.
So yeah, swept, or if they could put some, just look at it, see if
So
there's
that,
any.
that seam,
Yeah,
I need to be sealed.
if they could seal,
Build.
if they're still have some, if they're gonna have to patch that other, if it's
Yeah.
easy for them to.
so
finish.
the taxiway new, the new pour that they did, right? The new, the
Yeah,
sealant.
Needs to be swept and sealed. The problem is that it's been done at so many different times by so many different people that one new job would be great.
But if they're out there doing some patches, just have them look at it.
Yeah, I'll look at it. Okay. All right, that's it for D, and then we can pick back up on F
Okay,
once you approve the minutes.
items for consideration. Discuss and take action on the approval of the meeting minutes from April 16th. Has everybody looked at them, and would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Mark, you want a second? Or I'll second it, then, yeah,
Second,
and general discussion of airport improvements. Board members' comments and.
Well, yeah, let me go to F real quick. Let me.
Okay,
So F is, okay, so there's a couple documents that you guys have in front of you.
okay,
And you don't need to read the letter, but if you go to the plan map, so there's a couple things that we have to do. And so this is the city's master lease with the general land office, right? Not textile aviation, but the general land office. For the benefit of permanent school funds. So all it is it's this land is in their GLO fund supposed to generate money for the schools. So part of this is that under section 4 uses, when you complete a capital improvement project or you're wanting to add other features, you have to update your development plan. So that's what this letter here is.
Right.
So this is a letter to the Deputy Commissioner of Professional Services Division showing the new runway, taxiway, new transient parking, and also our proposed facility. So what you see in pink, you know, the proposed hangars layout, that's kind of a ballpark. It's not exact. You know, we could, I mean, when we have engineers design it and we have a professional airport designer lay this out, he's going to come up with a different hangar layout than what I've come up with. So this is schematic in purpose. We think it's kind of close to what we want, but it'll further be tuned in at some point where an airport designer gets hold of it and corrects my AutoCAD mistakes. But
Totally makes sense.
this is kind of my best stab at it. What you see on the left-hand side there, those 1, 2, 3, those 4 duplex hangars, those would be, that's this area right here as you come off of Piper.
Yep.
Used to always be wetlands.
That ditch went away.
Right. And then that's what the other document that you see in front of you is. This is the wetland delineation report and jurisdictional determination assessment that we had done by Perennial Environmental Services. We had to wait for the project to be finished, but now that the project is finished, this document is finalized and has been submitted to the Corps, which will give us, now we can make the claim that this land over here is now non-jurisdictional uplands. The city should be able to develop as we deem fit in accordance with 2 things, in accordance with the GLO lease. And then once they respond to this, I'm gonna update this side over here. This side has been updated with the new airport layout plan that we did about 2 years ago. We updated this. This stuff over here was not included because it was always wetlands. So once I get a response back from the General Land Office, I'll then update the airport layout plan with AECom, who did our last update. I've already talked to them. And then we should be golden. Then we can, you know, that side could go a lot quicker because it's not as much, you don't have the infrastructure needs on that side that you do on this side over here. This side over here, our next step, and you guys asked about, all right, when can we start using the parking? So what we need to do is we need to, and Chris and I have kind of walked it out. We're trying to just figure out some basic fencing. Just so that it might not be where the fence ends up at the end of the whole project, but at least for now, we just need something that we could get someone over there, keep the kids from driving on the new transient parking, doing wheelies, which has already happened. So we need to kind of keep that in mind of, all right, how are we going to keep people from just driving from there all the way over to the runway and wreaking havoc? So we got to come up with some fencing. So Chris is working on that right now, trying to see where his budget is. But that step one is we need to at least get some fencing up, and then we can put some man gates in it, just simple chain link man gates in it so that people can start to park over there. But we got to be able to regulate and keep cars from just driving all over that. We have a bunch of over in the Citizens Collection Station. We have a bunch of those big highway concrete barriers. You know, the big things that are shaped like they're kind of shaped like this.
Yeah.
And they're about 15 feet long, but they're a bitch to move, but chain link might be a little easier, but we do have some stuff we could put in, but before we need to get that accomplished before we just open it up.
So I'm gonna think the
Yeah.
chain link would.
I
would
think it's
restrict
quicker.
Access better,
Yeah,
then people could just hop over and still walk out there.
right. Or we can put in gates.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I get it on the chain.
Yeah,
link.
yeah.
But those barriers,
yeah.
yeah,
It might be a pain in the ass moving those around. They might sink and
you're gonna have.
yeah. But so right now, TxDOT Aviation as part of the project has officially put up like some barriers over there.
Oh, that's
But
their
only
barrier?
from one side.
Oh yeah, that's theirs.
That's TxDOT.
Yeah, that's TxDOT Aviation, the barriers that are like
Idiot.
right over
Oh,
here
yeah.
that prevent you from taxiing
Yeah.
over to the new, yeah.
Okay.
That's a TxDOT Aviation barrier that they technically have not opened the transient parking. They've opened the
Right.
extensions, but the transient is not open. They're waiting on us to get some fencing up.
Cool. So that'll run down towards the office and back around.
Yeah, so if you look at the plan, of course, the
Yeah.
plan's a little bit different because that's kind of the ultimate build out on the plan.
Right.
But for just some quick
Yep.
temporary fencing, and I'm only talking like, I think for now, because it might not be there long, or I think we just go with like 4 foot, just something to keep cars from turning off that driveway entrance and going back there and being bad.
With a gate.
And then people can park over there. There's no amenities there, but
You mentioned that it was, what does Chris have in the budget? But in order to get it done as quickly as
Yeah.
possible, the city, I'm sure, can get some people to help out. All you need is a float or something like that. You already have a wheel loader, and you can pick those things up and stick it on a trailer.
what, those concrete
Have
things?
it, yeah, and have it done in one day, and it really doesn't have any impact financially.
No, it
Or
is
am I
free.
wrong?
That's true.
Let me see if Chris will respond to a text. He was looking for some money.
All those people that didn't pay their parking.
Yeah,
I mail them bills every month.
Oh, yeah. Do they respond?
Some of them,
So. They'll love it when Chris changes a propeller out there sometimes. Of course, you gotta be careful with that too.
But I think we can find it pretty quick. I think he's got a little bit, I think he's got some left over in his,
So you would rather, hey, use that for fencing?
if it's quick, it's easier. I mean, I can go look at the concrete things and get with Doug at Public Works and see how easy he could move them. I mean, maybe we do a combination. You know, maybe we use some of those for blocking like the north-south traffic along the road.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe those could be our end pieces and then the fence can border the,
Yeah.
you know, the new transit parking, you know, offset it about
That-
6 feet maybe.
That new parking pad, the transit parking pad has created some monetary input for you that with an access road all the way around in this next plan and
Yeah.
fencing and, I mean, it's generating
Yeah.
some monetary issues there, sure.
No, we're gonna have to definitely come up with a,
Access plan.
yeah,
Well, it seems to me that we wanna do the fastest thing we can, and if we have to go
Yeah.
out for bids and
Yeah, I agree.
there's not enough money and,
Yeah.
have to wait, let's use what we have and make do, and then work on, what, the budget's coming up.
well,
Fairly.
it's kind of funny, it's kind of interesting because, I've been getting some inquiries by, all right, let's see what Chris said. He's working with Darla on it, hasn't heard yet, but he is getting quotes for fencing. So, okay, so it's moving. There have been a couple folks on the wealthier side, way more money than me,
Mhm.
that want to just come in and build everything. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, you know, my head starts spinning. You know, they're just like, well, we want to come in and just build it all out. And I'm like, well, you know, we want to reserve some of that, you know, so that the airport is getting, you know, generating income for the airport. You know, that's the whole purpose, is that all those good ground leases generate, you know, a new FBO over on that side, maybe a jet fuel operation, so maybe a full-time employee. I mean, we want those ground services to generate income for the city to make the airport as much self-reliant as it can be. We don't just want to give it all away to some guy so that he gets all the rent money, even if it does get built up.
He'd have to lease the property anyway.
Yeah, he'd have to lease it from, so that's what we have to look at. You know, it's like, hey, could we solve this quickly and still get everything we want? I mean, what's your guys' feeling on that?
I'm wanting to get the things done as fast as I can.
Yeah,
And still take into consideration what you're talking about. But if somebody has money and passion, which they
Yeah.
do, to get it, because they know what we need and they want a
Yeah.
big hangar.
I
It's
get
what
it.
it's what it amounts to.
I guess the only thing that gets in the way is, okay, so we've had this airport hangar list for a long time.
Yeah, but the people on that list can be contacted.
They can,
Do
yeah,
you want to build, what I wanna do, or what I think we should do, is have that persons work with us, because what we need utilities, we need access, we need paving, there's
Yeah.
an awful lot of
right,
stuff before anybody can build a hangar.
Right, and that's-
they are really big expenses,
yeah.
and if they can work with us.
And
we
that's
work
what
with
one of the
them.
big wigs will do. They'll come in and say, I'll build all that taxiway and I'll put in the electric and I'll put in the,
God bless them.
Yeah.
The city has time to
right.
come up with,
And then
the other
they say, but I want
Yeah.
that big FBO on the corner and I want to put in my own, you know, and I want, you know, the ground lease for that. And I want a ground lease for my site, you know, whatever his plane is, his King Air.
or more.
So,
The other way to do it, because like Mark said, if it's just everyone coming at us as onesies, it doesn't get the infrastructure done. And then what do?
well,
You build it for $1 million and then put an impact fee on everyone and say, hey, your hangar's available. You got 12 months to come pull your permit. And by the way, you owe a $30,000 utility impact fee for the development that we had to do. They're gonna have a heart attack.
So you might have to divorce yourself from the historical leasing here and go with something like that.
Right.
And change the way it's done. Now, you could still keep the part on the south side over here by Piper. That's the least expensive to develop.
Yeah,
I don't want to jump in here.
No,
We,
no.
on Piper,
yeah,
tomorrow, whoever calls the people on this list needs to start with number one and go
yeah,
down
yeah,
and say, we have land here
yeah,
and you can have, if you want to build a hangar, you can build a hangar for what, 1, 2, 3, 4
yeah,
buildings that
yeah,
are substantially the same as what we
Yeah.
have there.
yeah.
Unless we want to change things.
So
That could be done tomorrow.
Yeah,
All this other stuff has to do with
Yeah.
infrastructure.
yeah,
right. There is some infrastructure over there. I mean, there's paving, there's electrical, there's plumbing, there's
Oh, up here,
You'll
yes,
need it.
we, I built a bunch of hangars down
I
here.
understand.
And it's all there. I mean, it all originates at 361, so
Right, yeah.
it's there.
yeah, it's on
for
Piper, yeah,
Except for sewer.
But
yeah,
it would take someone to develop that space there and not an individual to just build one hangar.
Well,
I mean,
well, the first two would just be the hangars closest to Piper.
Yeah,
You don't have a whole lot of infrastructure because your parking's just right there, you're almost right off the street.
Right.
It's the other two that are a little bit closer, see how they're
I
staggered.
get it. Yeah. So
They're
what's the-
staggered because of that. There's two different slope cones. There's the approach slope cones that's 20-1, and then there's the side slope cone that's 7-1. And so it's kind of a really odd fix how those two marry. But what happens is that and it's on that diagram, you can kind of see it, that
Yeah.
5, 10, 15,
Sure,
20, 20.
sure.
Those are max building heights. And it's not so much the 20-1 cone that gets them, it's that side 7-1 cone that's flatter. And that's what's pushed those buildings out to make them staggered like that.
At least you can get them in there.
No, you can get them in. It just took a while for me to
Yeah.
figure out how to get them under that,
Right.
that I kind of use 15 feet as my,
and I mean, I could start dirt work tomorrow to
Yeah.
build them all. I'm not doing that stuff
yeah,
anymore, but this is not a big project. This is
Right.
Like building.
yeah, the Piper
Building
ones.
some houses.
Yeah,
Right, there's infrastructure, there's dirt work.
Yeah.
But we're not using steel beams or a
Mhm.
few of them. Anyway, it's not a big deal.
and you're not getting a big engineer involved in laying out a parking lot in the front of them either. But on this other side over here, it's engineering,
So Dave, can you speak to the animal shelter and what timeline might be for that?
that's a council decision, and the majority of council, I'm not so that's a tough one. There's some that like it, there's some that don't like it.
Really?
It can be very expensive. And it's just straight general fund. There's no magic money to help out an animal shelter. It's right out of it's fighting with police and fire dollars. So it's just, it doesn't have any hot tax that can, it's a tough one to, it's about a $2 million fix.
Plus the ongoing
Yeah.
staffing and everything
Yeah.
and
Electric.
utilities.
Utilities.
There's a huge problem. This whole no-kill shelter thing started about 15 years ago, and it's just wreaking havoc. The policy is that, there's just in the south, up in the north, animals will freeze to death. And so there's kind of a little bit of control. But in the south, like from Oklahoma down, you know, the no kill shelter policy has just overloaded everything. And so you can't get any help. You can't get, it's real hard to get people to take pets. So all the cities are struggling being, you know, whatever you build gets filled. I mean, you could build a 50 kennel facility and it'd be filled. So it's just, it's hard to figure that project out. And, you know, the chamber would like to see it moved from over here, but it's a hard nut to crack.
Is the water tower still a possibility?
For them, no, the animal people don't say that it's too far out.
It's not that far, but that gives them, for me, it gives them room to expand,
Yeah,
you know, if that,
I
Here
don't
they're kind of blocked
understand
in.
how 2 miles is too far anywhere.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
That's-
Yeah, no, I can't either.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's,
yeah, I mean, traditionally, your animal shelters are on the outskirts of town.
yeah,
Well, I live on the outskirts.
Yeah, right.
More.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and it's not that much further than Nine Morns. It's not,
I can see it.
yeah,
yeah, so anyway, that's not in stone by any stretch of the imagination.
okay.
All right,
It's a placeholder at best.
very good. Now, if it goes away, you've got room for,
Yeah, if it goes away, you could probably go one. Maybe you get 3 more in
yeah,
and you just
Yeah.
extend that taxiway down and
I bet they're taller too. Taller access, right?
well, I mean, at that 4th one there, you're hitting the 20-foot mark.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah, you could do big ones.
right.
There's a light green line. You can't see it, but it says it's the BRL. It's the building restriction line. And it runs
Now I see it. Yeah.
that the furthest most hangar is right on it. But that is no fences or trees or structures beyond that line.
Oh, I see
So
it.
that's but if
Parallel.
the animal shelter wasn't there, yes, you could have a big FBO, you could have something large there.
Yeah.
Because your roof height at that corner is approaching 25 feet already. And as you hit the highway, it's at 45.
We're not at any further or than we were with the state money for putting up hangars.
No,
It's not either a sure thing or.
no. We need to get,
So we need to have a request for a proposal or something. To build the hangars. Somebody says, okay, I'll do it and I'll build 4 buildings.
yeah, we have 750K for a nested T so far. That's what we have in the TxDOT Aviation Capital Improvement Project funds. But we think one of the 11-plex nested Ts, we think it's going to be a couple million.
What about starting off on one of these 4s that since
Yeah,
the money's tight and maybe we could. get
Well,
close to that quicker.
say that again on the what?
Well, we only have what you said, 750. What if
Yeah.
we just start building those 4 and we've got something?
Oh, the 4 on Piper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would have to read the verbiage of the nested Ts because it's called the program's actually called the Nested T Hangar Program. So I think it's,
The state's pushing that.
yeah, I think it's nested Ts. I don't think they're looking for,
The T's in there because you tried.
Well, you'd
Yeah.
have trouble getting on
Getting
the
in and out,
backside.
yeah, the
You
backsides.
You can
gets-
sure build that first one there that's up against the taxi or the new transit. park.
You could build that one.
Yeah.
And I think if you do the math, if we had 750K and we took a loan out for, 1.2, I think the math would show that it's probably a quick payback.
Yeah.
But you do need your tarmac on the other side of that too. So you still got to develop, you got to figure out where your engineering is and
That's part of the deal with whoever Mr. Big is that
Yeah.
wants to develop that. You said you gotta pave all that and loan us some money to build a second set of T hangar. we got 750, we need some
Yeah.
money, you're gonna pave it for us, we're gonna
I
build
mean,
on top of your pavement, and then you're gonna, loan us money to build this other set of nested tees.
Back to the other side of the roadway,
Yeah,
those four buildings that you have there. Is it the city's or the board's idea that, let's say you go out for a request for proposal and you build these hangars. You'd be,
you mean if
The
we
city-
just opened the ground leases and said,
would the city own them? Or would somebody sell them like I did when I built them? And then the city's still getting the ground lease money from it.
I think we would just put out the RF. I don't know. I don't even know if we need to put out the RFP. I think we just go down the list. I think the list generates your right to build one of those four.
But it really should be somebody who takes the responsibility to deal with we still have to deal with windstorm and
Yeah.
our building code and all that stuff. One person building the four units that we know we can, or for 8 hangars.
Well, I
And
guess,
then does that person sell them to the city or sell them to 8 individuals?
well,
And
that would be one way to do it.
who sets the price?
You could do that. Or you let the individuals come in and you just say, here's the spec for the hangar, has to be within this footprint. It has to be, here's your
Have to look
architect.
like this.
Yeah, here's your architectural control, and you let the individual come in and pick their own contractor.
Right, but then.
And they're just picking space 1, 2, 3, or 4.
The city is getting the ground.
Yeah, we
lease
just want the
money,
ground lease.
And you don't have any upfront money or
No.
anything like that.
Yeah. We're not putting anything up.
So you're saying call down the list and see if there's any interest in that?
I think the first thing is somebody has to start call the number 1, 2,
Yeah.
3 and say, are you ready?
Yeah,
Are you-
first step is I gotta get a call back from the GLO saying, thanks for your updated development plan, thumbs up. Then I quickly have AECom update that on our ALP so that TxDOT also gives me the approval process that we can start, developing along the taxiway there.
I think Mark's got a good idea. The sooner you get something up over
Yeah.
there, the better,
Yeah, let's-
just to show
let's
the
go.
move,
Yeah.
still moving forward.
I mean, I think if I can get
money
if I can get a response within a month, I mean, we could probably get rolling on that and get going down the list saying, hey, you're number 1. Are you ready to build? We have send them a map, say, hey, here's hangars, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's the configuration. Are you ready to build? And if they pass up next,
Well, some of them are gonna be like, when you get down to my name, I'm gonna say, well, I'm not ready to build, but I sure wanna keep my name.
Oh,
on the-
right.
the
That's-
Kiesinger.
I want to stay on the nested T list, but
Yeah.
I think we probably need to go down the
But
list.
there probably is, you're gonna hit another big wig, okay, boom.
I think we need to figure out, who's interested in one of the old duplex styles, who's interested in the King Air size, and who's interested in the nested T's. Maybe that's the first thing we could.
Sample your clientele to see what you should.
Yeah, and actually
build.
we end up with maybe 3 lists.
There you go.
Do we need to put together a kind of a survey that we can call people and say, hey?
I think what we
mail
can do
this
is
out
I'll
to
work with Nikki and generate a layout map.
you? Okay,
And I'll categorize things and say, hey, we're generating 3 lists. 1, 2, you need to fall into one of these 2 groups
okay,
and send it out to everyone. And then we follow up with a poll and we start,
perfect. That's a
and,
great.
and we get a new fresh list and we know who's at the top of hey, I want the 1 through 4 list.
Yeah,
I'm waiting on the nested T. I'm waiting for the big King Air ones, blah, blah, blah. And we get a whole new,
And the one list of let's say the 4 buildings along Piper, they would be actually buying the building. And they have to worry about coming up with the money. Nested T's, I think in somebody's mind is something they're gonna rent from the city.
yeah, that's a
right.
rent from the
Yeah.
So
city.
that's a
Yeah.
whole, it's a
that's where
whole
I would
different
be,
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking of is, how do you get into this as fast as you can without any financial impact to the city? And it would be those 4 buildings that.
Custom built by individuals.
And then somebody who wants a big hangar helping the city out with
Yeah.
all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, I agree
In
with
order to
that.
be able to build it.
And
I
the
agree.
Paving and
Yeah.
everything over there so that you can start building.
And then the third thing is gonna be the nested Ts that could only be built after all the infrastructure.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because then if the city sees all this going on, okay, yes, okay, there's a need.
Yeah, I think-
It's gonna show the city through the board here what interest is out
Yeah.
there. You know, I mean, there's people on that list that are dead and gone. There's
No, I
people
know.
that don't have airplanes anymore.
Yeah,
There's.
You know, I had Harvey ruined so much and I had
Tell me.
4 legal filing cabinets. And the bottom 4 drawers were all the plans of places that I built. And
Oh, no.
and it's all gone and people call you and but that would have been great to have a set of engineered plans. That you
Here
could
you
just
go.
hand it to somebody and say, this
What are
is
the
what I want.
openings on those?
Hmm?
What is the open height on those?
The
hangers?
14-foot, the 14-foot plate height is that angle that goes up there.
Right,
And it's a 4-inch pitch roof and that
but the
was the
clear
highest-
opening
highest
is,
we could get.
and what's
Then
the
I have
clear
a
opening?
16-inch land beam in there. You could get it higher by putting steel in there
Instead of wood. Yeah.
instead of the land beam. And then you'd have maybe 13-foot clearance instead of 12.
Oh, okay, but that's what it is. It's around 12.
Yeah, but the plate height is 14 feet.
Right.
And the engineer drove me crazy because he designed it like I was gonna put a, Gulfstream in
Yeah.
there, and everything, I have 3-foot deep beams, 16 inches wide, all this concrete is just is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I don't think it had to be that strong, but it'd be a lot cheaper to just get started than it would be to have new plans generated and everything.
All right, so I'm gonna develop with
3
Nikki 3 tiers. And then we'll get a mail out. And we're gonna start working the list.
okay.
So we get a fresh
How
updated
large is
list.
it? Do you have it off the top of your head? How big that list is?
No, I haven't looked at every name on it in a while.
There's a lot.
But people still come in, hey, am I on the list? We're like, yes, sir, you're still on the
Yeah.
list.
Okay,
It's very long. I think it goes back to like 2016, maybe before that, but it's long.
Yeah, it goes longer than that.
So should the general land office inquire, all the land lease is just per square foot.
Yeah, it's,
So it doesn't, if somebody's building a big hangar
yeah,
or a small hangar or whatever, it's really, really easy to figure. It's not
Yeah.
something you need a meeting about or
no,
professional
Yeah.
guidance or something.
It's already set, right?
we just send them a monthly check and they're just like, they've never even questioned us.
is there?
Okay, what about sewer? Is there any way that we can get sewer down there with the water district involved?
That's more of a, well, that's a huge capital list, but really, that's like, you guys need to call our buddy Scott Mack and put a little heat on him. It's over there.
Yeah,
It's deep.
and we just have to. I mean, all the.
You mean
other
like at
things
the
are
back of
built-
the original hangars?
The electric's there and it's underground and
Yeah.
the water's there. So, and you can get a building permit to do that unless you have somebody living in it.
Right, but you're
And-
talking sewer to where? The existing hangars?
But,
You're talking a sewer line to the existing hangars?
well, these 4 hangars
Oh, those
would be
four.
the start. And I think it would be, most people would rather would like to have a bathroom
Yeah,
in there. Right now, we have a porta potty on the outside of ours.
I wonder what the height is at, though, of that. Let me see what the height there is. Cause you would need to be at base flood elevation 9. So that dirt is at,
It's, the airport elevation's what, 5 feet?
let me look,
Yeah.
hold up. Yeah, the runway is, here, I got it right here. Yeah, like the new runway is, now the taxiway is even less. It's around 4.
So you wanna be above that, but you can't be pushing an airplane up. a big
No, I
hill.
know, but a bathroom would need to be at,
gotta be-
9. So you're 5 foot.
Oh, Lord.
But but that's only for,
Prone.
as far as I remember, it's only for somebody living there.
No, it's for any bathroom.
Well, bathroom.
Yeah,
okay.
bathroom. Yeah, toilet.
Okay,
And it's not the top of the bowl, it's the damn flange.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. And all your,
that's a good point.
Splitting hairs.
all your plumbing, and
I got my toilet, you know, like the old style with the waterway up there.
all the
Jay.
plumbing had to be, your siltcocks and everything else were up about 4 feet, 5 feet, something like that, even in the ones that I built.
Yeah.
Because that was the code. It had to be a certain.
Yeah, I mean,
elevation.
you could build one in there, but it would be like you'd take, 5 steps to get up to it.
Yeah,
Man's gotta go.
It wouldn't meet ADA, but
it'd still be
No,
cheaper to
it's
have a
private.
porta potty.
So,
Yeah.
so, well, never mind, I'm not going there, never mind, I'm not gonna say it, that open nation.
Most of them just have a little potty at the end of the hangars, community little, not one for every unit, just at the end of. Or on the nested T, they'll put a toilet at the end of the nested T for.
Yeah,
everybody.
and that's gonna be a problem on that side too.
Okay.
Is your,
Yeah.
and that's why the FBO
Yes,
is up 3.5 feet.
Yeah,
It was to get it up above base flood elevation, and it's gone up a foot since then. Because now it's that, things have been raised, so now you would be like, that's probably at 8. My guess is that I don't think it shows it in these set of plans, but my guess is that FBO is at 8, and now it's at 9.
Has nothing to do to keep it from flooding, it's all about the toilet. That makes sense.
So yeah, over in the new area, whoo,
Cause it's low. Way too low.
yeah, because it's over there, it's
3 foot maybe?
no, it's higher than that. Just had it.
while you're looking for that, another topic is keeping boats out of these and just keep getting airplanes. Is there something we can do different with these new ones to?
Well, we
Whether
can,
or not
we can send out the FAA's, the FAA came out about, because we've been through this in a whole bunch of cycles, especially when Keith Donnelly was on,
Yeah.
that was his big,
Okay.
so we would send out a letter and, threaten to do an audit and,
Mhm.
and then we came out with, the FAA came out with a diagram of, the plane sitting in the building. And in the corners
Yeah,
were allowable,
perfect, yeah,
things
That's
other
what-
than your plane.
Yep.
And so that's the allowance, but I mean, it's pretty much that rules in effect.
okay,
It's not 100% airport use stuff. It shall at least accommodate your plane, and then whatever you can shove in your little
Yeah.
nooks,
yeah.
shove away.
But you have to have. a
There's still-
plane
But
in
it's
it.
not to have,
There's-
it's not to have 50 golf carts in.
Yeah, there's still a couple.
Like that guy,
don't have a
we ran
plane.
him out.
Isn't there one more that? still has
But
boats?
now if someone doesn't have a plane,
Yeah,
there is no rule about that. The rule is that the hangar has to be able to accommodate a plane when it pulls in.
uh-huh,
But there's no rule that says someone can buy a hangar and not use it.
yeah,
That is not, I don't think it mentions that anywhere.
there's that one down there, is there one or two that just have boats in it still?
Well, as long as the boat's in the back corner,
Yeah.
that's fine. And the plane can fit in it.
Okay, is there one that has not seen a plane in years?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I think I read,
So I guess that was my question, is how do we keep that from happening? Because we want to have Have
I,
airplanes.
I know, I don't know if we
The
can.
Airplane that we can get in there is, that's what it's for.
I don't know if we can.
Okay.
I think that thing says that an airplane, I think it's if the city or, county or whatever owns it. And somebody's on a waiting list for a hangar. And there's a hangar that with no airplane associated with it, that's not acceptable.
I don't know.
Well, the
Um,
agreement I signed over across the bay states that you will have an airplane in there and,
How often though? So it's like, I mean,
well, but you cannot, you can't have a boat, you can't have
Right.
a sports car, it's all gotta be aviation related
right.
in the hangar. That's what it says. So,
So maybe that's how we should say these and let the
Yeah.
boat slide, say it's all aviation and,
well, you change whatever agreement you want
Yeah.
people to sign to what.
because it's no problem having boats in there, but we want to have a airplane in there.
I agree.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Otherwise, somebody that has an airplane is,
Yeah, we don't want them to be the cheapest storage unit in town.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
get
we'll
off
have-
on
we'll have to
a
work
rabbit
on that.
trail there, but
So here's the elevation. So the new transient parking is 5.5 feet in the dead center. And then it's crowned.
Yeah.
And it goes from 5.5 to 5 to 4.5 to 4 on the edges.
wow,
So the edges are 4.
wow.
And then that surrounding dirt, I bet is 6 inches lower than that. So I bet you that dirt over there's 3.5.
It's
wow.
not far off.
Which you would have to, so an FBO, a hangar can flood, you just have to have the vents in it.
Yeah.
But all your electric, a socket has to be,
Right.
let's say you go in there and you build your slab at 4.5 feet. Your sockets have to be up at 8, all your, no toilet, your toilet would have to be shit up half a flight of stairs. And then you gotta have the flood vents and on all the walls. And I don't know if you guys know better than me, I don't know what insurance issue you'd have keeping your plane at 4 foot.
Nobody's
You
ever asked
store
me
your
that.
plane at
You know,
four.
no one's ever asked me that.
If you store your plane at 4 foot, does the insurance company come in and go, what
The
the
only
hell?
thing they
You
ever
stored your
asked-
plane in a
I-
freaking a special flood hazard area.
It's the only thing they ever asked in my insurance agreements was, where's the airplane based? What airport? And you
Yeah.
give them the identifier and that's it. Never, that's a great.
Yeah, then nobody ever asked.
No.
I know with boats, some giant boats, they make you, my neighbor has a big boat and they make him take it to San Antonio during it's in his insurance lease that he has to take it out of town. if-
You're not allowed to leave it, is it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah,
Not mine.
yeah,
Mine was in the covered slips there. It
Okay.
got blown out and sunk and I got a big check.
okay.
Good.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting that he said, oh, I gotta take mine San Antonio if a storm comes.
So he gets real cheap insurance.
Yeah,
So the big thing right now, just everybody's looking over at David.
Yeah.
Is 3 lists.
Yeah. We're gonna-
Contact everybody that's
Yeah.
on the list now and find out which list they want.
Which
to go on.
category?
And then at that point,
Yeah.
the sooner the better,
Yeah,
we can.
start
we
moving
or
on
the city
Piper.
can decide how we want to go with where we know we can build right away and get a building permit.
And then I think on the other side, I start reaching back out to some of these bigwigs and just start some conversations with
yeah.
them, see what they're interested in.
While I'm thinking about it. Tom Brooks, I think it was, he was a
Yeah.
pilot, was a city manager.
Yeah.
And he called me in one day and he says, would you like to build some hangars at the airport? And my question right away was, why am I so lucky? That you're calling me? Because-
Right,
And the answer was, there's 7 permits that I had to get,
right,
Corps of Engineers.
yeah,
I had GLO, or Windstorm.
Yeah.
And there was just
Yeah.
nobody else in town that
Yeah.
that was gonna go through
Right.
that
mhm.
hoops. And, but now we're not
Well, so we've eliminated the Corps of Engineers issue, right, with, you know, this delineation.
Yep.
So that's good. The GLO issue, that's taken care of in the letter with a development plan, which we've never had before.
So all we have
There's
is,
the difference.
like you build a house, it's windstorm.
All you're doing now is windstorm and, yeah,
Okay,
there is no, we're taking care of the GLO. We've taken care of the Corps of Engineers. Now, we've also already done the delineation on this side too. So this side is, you see it cut off there, that's because that's a wetland feature that wraps around.
Yeah.
So, and it says wetland delineation 2017. So we've already done the wetland delineation on the north side. So that's uplands. That's all, we know that is our upland limitation, no core. We already have the jurisdictional letter. We don't need any core issues.
You could pour concrete tomorrow.
We could pour concrete tomorrow. Well, no, well, yeah, because that one's already in the airport layout plan.
It was.
So that's fully approved. This north side's fully approved. It's in the airport layout
The
plan. It's been
addition to
accepted
the
by,
Piper is the.
yeah, it's the Piper one that I'm waiting on.
but you can still find out about, get with the 3 lists and everything.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
And
Yeah,
ready to
yeah,
go as
yeah.
soon as you get something back for them.
absolutely.
Excellent.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
And that's,
And then I'm gonna keep working on the fencing too with Chris.
that seems like number 6, board member comments and items for future consideration and adjournment.
You wanna, set a meeting for 2 months out?
Yeah, let's do 2 months. That way we can, that'll give us time because Goals Workshop's gonna kick our butt for the
That would
next
be August 20th.
45 days. And then we could have a chance to really get the list dialed down.
Make it so.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be August 20th, a Wednesday,
20th. Okay.
August 20th.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, good.
That works for
I'm
me.
retired, so yeah.
Are you good with that?
I'm good, yeah.
and it'll probably be blowing about 20 that day.
So you wanna
Yeah,
adjourn?
Yep,
All right,
let's adjourn.
all right. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
See, we get more done when Chris sitting here.
that's funny.
And then